Ugh, I literally was playing the Oblivion remaster and it completely crashed on me the second I saved. So
Oh,
let's hope that it's saved. I
that's
mean,
gonna hurt.
it wasn't like I lost anything crazy, but
Still, that's frustrating. It's very
yes, it
frustrating.
is.
It's points
Very
against, if
much.
you're asking me.
Yeah.
Some caveats on tonight.
Yes.
The big one is my kid has been puking all day.
Oh no.
Holy shit, we had 601 subscribers.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah, she's been puking all day. Just all day. So, and my wife cannot handle vomit in any way, shape, or form. So,
Yeah.
I am on kid duty.
Okay.
I have one earphone off, and if I hear her, because she's upstairs, she fell asleep on the couch. If I hear her, I'm going to yell pause no matter what we're doing, and I'm going to be gone for a couple of minutes, okay? And
It's not a problem.
if it turns into something that like cancels us or something, which I don't think it will, I'll text you. All right?
I was gonna say, I mean, it is okay if you want to make that call right now.
It is, but we took 2 weeks off, then we took one back. I'm here. I already called off for tomorrow
Okay.
because of the kid. I'd rather
Oh jeez.
try and get an episode in. You know what I mean? And get at least two in
Yeah.
the books. So, yeah. And it shouldn't be too big. We only have two fan interactions. So that should be nice and quick and to the point.
Yeah, I really can't imagine, even with talking about the Borderlands thing, I don't necessarily think it's going to be like a very long one. Because I
No.
mean, there's not a whole heck of a lot to say, even though what, it's Borderlands, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt so bad. I don't know if you saw my message, but I was like,
Yeah,
when you were like,
yeah,
I'm in a great mood to talk about something I'm excited for. And I was like, oh, if that's the
that
conversation,
sucks.
I'm going to be bringing the wrong energy to this trip.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. You, dear listener, for whatever reason, have decided to tune into another horrible gaming podcast. I am not alone. Usually, I am never alone. With me is,
Neil, aka Tiny Wizard.
and as you guys can tell, I'm still fucking hoarse. The ongoing battle continues with my voice, but there are more sickness battles going on in my life that I can count. So we are standing against the waves today and getting this podcast done anyway. I want to get two on the books for you guys because we took two off at the very least. So we're doing it. We're doing it today. We're going to talk about the Borderlands 4 reveal, the gameplay reveal. I believe we have contrasting point of views on it. So I think everybody would be somewhere in the afterlife. Kevin is very happy because we're probably going to argue about something. So this one's for you, Kev. And other than that, we have to thank the people who make this possible. Behind our ugly mugs, you're seeing custom graphic that was provided by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. Then, of course, the theme song for this show and all the shows here at Old Man Gaming is provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that. We'll be right back for interaction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment. That's fan interaction. That's where we, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments,
The
we riff about them,
Vans.
we talk about them, and I want to give a big shout out, depending on who's listening. I just logged in today to find out that we have broken 600 subscribers on our channel. That's amazing. We've never what blows my mind is that we are still getting subscribers in a year that has been almost devoid of content on this channel. Like way less content than I even planned on doing. We literally have like maybe two shows going up and a review here and there. But yet you guys are still like subscribing to the channel, and we thank you so much for that. 601 subscribers is huge. Like, it's just huge to me. And it's a monumental accomplishment. I thank anybody who's listening to this who has recently subscribed. I appreciate it. And I just want you to know we used to be chock full of content. You can go back and check all that out. And we will be chock full of content one day in the future. It's just been a hard year.
I love your like, hey, this is a great thing. Just so you know, we suck now. Go in the past when it used to be good.
Right. Yeah. Check out my old tapes, not these tapes. Check out the old tapes when I was young and hungry. All right. So let's get into fan interaction. First, we start with William Hohen. Hi! Exclamation point. For a remake that requires a lot of power, I can think of the Dead Space remake, maybe. I don't play the Dead Space, so I don't know what that required from the hardware, because I never played the original, so I wasn't gonna play the remake. It's just I don't like horror games, but that might be one. Did you ever play it?
Yes, actually, I think I've talked about this before. It's actually kind of funny. I don't do spooky at all whatsoever.
No, we have talked.
I love
about
that
this.
game.
Yes.
I love that game. It is objectively a good game. I do wonder how you would react with it. It would be funny maybe one time for you to play it at least a little bit. But no, it is.
I wish it was
objectively,
multiplayer. We could do it as like a Halo thing.
The third game is
Right, but that's not the one.
But
you want me to play.
the third game is its own. Like that's when it started getting more action than horror. But well, actually, that might be better for you then. But yeah, long story short, yeah, Dead Space is one of those to where like even though it's spooky, it's so good. I love that game. It is an excellently made game.
What we should do is one of these days in the summer, when we both have like a day off, you come out here and I will play it. And we'll do like a Game Grumps thing where I'll play it
during the day.
And you just comment
on
me, comment on me freaking out and in the game and stuff. Like I think that would be a really fun thing.
That would be funny.
Content for the future. But his comment goes on. I'm only halfway through it. The Switch 2 being sold out is something I wanted to bring. When I saw the news, I was like, man, that boycott is really working well.
Right. Oh,
Thanks for the show. Yeah. Hashtag scalpers maybe? Question mark. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't think a system, and I think Neil will agree with me on this. I don't think a system is made or broken based on its pre-orders. I think that like every system goes gangbusters on the pre-orders regardless of its price. I think that whether or not a system has good numbers is what happens after it's released and those pre-orders are fulfilled. If I recall correctly, PlayStation 5 had really good pre-orders, but then they didn't have the numbers to actually accommodate people. The price skyrocketed and a lot of scalpers like forced that price up. So it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, we wait to see. Again, people out there, if you're not a scalper trying to drive up the price, if you pay for this system, you're saying it's okay. If you're paying for this system, you're saying it's not only okay for this system to cost this much, but for all those games to cost that much and all those peripherals to cost that much, because the system's the basis, right? Like if you're willing to even buy in on the system, you're willing to pay $80 for all their games, because otherwise you got nothing. Or at least $20 to upgrade your games version to version, 20 to 30. You're willing to pay $80 for peripherals. I think that like there has to be like the only way we're gonna say no is with our wallets. It really is the truth, you know. We need to let that FOMO go.
Yeah, it's funny because I've been hearing a lot about that lately with the various increases in prices that have been gone over. The newest one we'll cover towards the end of the show here, but I'm seeing more and more articles that are like vote with your wallets, which always happens with this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, consumer's going to consume.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think, while that objectively is the way that things change, I think the collective hive mind of humans is going to be what it is, and they're still just going to
don't necessarily agree with you, but here's the thing. If piranhas are going to eat meat, right? Mm-hmm. But if you put the meat outside the water just above the water where they can't get to. They can't eat the meat. And like, it's the same thing with this. Once you get to a price point where the consumers can't consume, it doesn't matter how much they want to consume. They can't consume, you know?
Yeah, and that's a fair point. That also said, I mean, we can just kind of touch base on it very briefly here.
Sure.
To your point, we have Microsoft who's just come out and said that they're going to raise prices on everything. The Series X is now more expensive than the PS5 Pro, which is stupid. But yeah, there is going to be a point, like, if nobody wanted your thing to begin with and you raise the price, probably nobody's going to nobody's going to buy that thing.
What bothers me Sorry. What bothers me on the Xbox thing, since we're just doing this now because there are no rules on this podcast anymore. What bothers me about the micro.
I think I heard something too.
Yeah, I thought I heard something upstairs. Give me a second to listen. I think it was my wife blowing her nose, but okay. So
cool.
Yeah. So we'll keep moving. Everything freezes for a moment. Like, I'm gonna have to put some of the somewhere in the bonus. What's going on? So the situation with the Microsoft thing is, what blows my mind with that is, first of all, you know it's bad when IGN is releasing articles about how things cost too much. Because IGN doesn't give a fuck about money. They don't factor it into their review system. They don't factor it into how they look at things. They don't factor it into how you purchase things, with the exception of maybe like the articles where they collect deals or daily deals. They don't give a shit about how much the money costs because they're a huge company and anybody who works there is just going to get the shit. That being said, they have started to write articles about how expensive console gaming is. Like, okay, we're in trouble now. The other thing is, what I really don't understand about Microsoft is, how are you going to go on a tear about how anything can be a fucking Xbox, from your phone to your laptop to your computer to your TV now. TCLs can do Game Pass, and then raise the price of your hardware. Do you not want to sell that anymore? Because at that point, just stop making it. Like, why are we raising the price of it at all?
Yeah, like, just to touch on it, because we're just basically talking about this here right now. The Series S, the 512, used to be $300. It's now $379.99. The standard Series, X, or at least the digital one rather, is up to $549.99. Used to be $450. This regular Series X is now $600, and the 2 terabyte Series X is $730. Again, if you're keeping score, it is still going to be cheaper to get a standard Series X and get the expansion card, just like it was with the Series S. Buying the expansion card to get the same amount of storage with the standard 512 would have been more expensive than just buying a regular Series X to begin with. What is happening? Oh my God, everything's on fire.
Yeah. This is going to become a retro video game podcast real quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, like $80 for games. Like, they basically looked and said, well, Nintendo's doing it, and that was it. When they were already basically, like, within 3 to 4 years ago, I think it was, when they were pushing the whole, well, it's a new generation, so the games are going to cost a little bit more, and you know, after not budging on the price for so many years, now it's gone up again. And this is all, you know, it's not just physical games, it's also the digital games too. So it's nothing to do with like tariffs or anything like that. It's purely just, we want more money for game, so give more money for game, please. And that's what happened.
That's the thing. Like, tariffs are bad. I don't like them. I don't want to talk about them, but we can't like write this off as tariffs anymore. Like, this is just a greedy company being real greedy. The other thing I don't understand, you're getting to a point where the super fans aren't going to buy it anymore. You're getting to a point where it's too expensive. They don't have the money. Like, who are you selling the system for? Jeff Bezos? Like, who's purchasing this at this point? And the idea that like the mid, like, halfway point, everything goes up instead of down. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And like I said, this price shit continues. This is going to become a retro gaming podcast real fast because I'm not buying anything for fucking $80 that I don't think is worth $80, and nothing coming out is worth $80. So there's that. But we'll talk more about that in the news. I think we've covered that one right now. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, great, perfect. Got it out of the way. And then our only other comment this week was Jason. Tried out Oblivion, was expecting to stop after a bit because I'm still burned out on old fantasy. Got pulled in. But like most Bethesda games, the super important urgent main quest got forgotten in favor of wandering around and doing random things for random people. Fuck yeah.
Yes.
Also, I became a pirate captain of a buried and broken ship. Then Towerborn dropped out. Then Towerborn dropped, but I want to Oblivion, and I'm mostly looking forward to Altars. So, you touched on a lot of stuff, Jason. You're giving us a lot of ammunition. First of all, the way I used to play Skyrim, and most of my Bethesda games, is like when I make a character, I try and think of what that character's trying to achieve, and then fuck the main quest. I just do it until I think the character has achieved that, and then I move on to another character. I didn't beat the actual game, the main story of the game, until 10 years after its release. Like, I just hadn't beaten
haven't.
it. You haven't beaten the main story? I did
no.
finally do it. I did finally do it with an orc character. But, like, yeah, for the longest time, I had not. Because I had one character, and I was like, I think this dude's a family man. So he got a family and bought a house. And then another dude who was like, he's a wizard. So we just did the wizard thing. And my first character, the character I played the longest, was just like Thief's Guild all the way. I did everything in the Thief's Guild, even the extra stuff, until there was nothing left to do in the Thief's Guild. And I was like, he's a king of thieves. We're good. So yeah, that's how I like to play those games, because then it takes even longer for me to get done with them. You know, it's almost like adding extra hours to my hours. I don't know what the pirate captain of a buried and broken ship is. I don't know what that means. But Towerborn I have played. I am working on the review. It should be up this week. I'm done with the time with it. I have 2 reviews coming this week, Towerborn and Badlands Crew. I will say, Towerborn has both impressed me and made me very sad. So it is a real mixed bag with Towerborn for me. So yeah, just because, I don't know, like somebody really did just like, we're in this like, this area of Destiny butt Destiny. That's what I call it. The butt Destiny games. Mad Max butt Destiny. Streets of Rage butt Destiny. And like, that's what they did here. Like, this is butt Destiny.
A little bit of that coming down the pipeline with the main talking point.
To the point of, like, almost the design of the belfry where you launch from in Towerborn reminds me so much of the place in Destiny 2 that you go back to. I can't remember what it's called, but, like, they're, like, the fucking same, like, almost, their map is almost similar. And, like, I was like, that's so frustrating. And, like, the other thing is, I just played South of Midnight. I just played Atomfall. Those games gave me such good reasons to figure out the lore of the game. Skull and Bones, as much as everybody else there hates it, and as much as it is a games of servicey game, they're doing a narrative thing with it that's going to make you care about the lore of the game. Helldivers makes you care about the lore of the game in really intriguing ways. This is just another one of those that I could give a shit less about what these people have to say or anything. It's just go to the next mission, grind out gear, go back, go to the next mission, grind out gear, go back. And the combat's great. It's fun. My daughter really likes it, and it's fun to play with her. But at the same time, it's leaving me with a lack of substance, like a lack of callback, you know? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It's a butt Destiny, and it's bothering me a little bit. All right. Do you have anything to add to any of that?
No, sir.
The Altars looks really interesting. I do want to play that at some point. It's a little bit farther off because I've also got Badlands Crew, and I'm obsessed with Badlands Crew. So, all right. We're going to take a quick break. Come back with a talking point. We're going to talk about Borderlands 4, the gameplay reveal. Yeah. So we'll be right back with that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to our talking point. I do want to just give a shout out to Philbilly330, our build master. He has not been playing video games much this year at all. We've had a lot of conversations about it, so I don't think he cares that we're doing a Borderlands game episode without him. He was a little bit done with Borderlands the last time we talked to him, if I recall correctly. So yeah, just want to say that's why he's not here. He's very busy. He's very happy. He's working on his house, and his secondary job just got a lot of business. So he's a very busy dude. He hasn't been playing a lot of video games. So it's just gonna be me and Neil talking about Borderlands 4. So the gameplay reveal came out. They did a state of play for Borderlands 4, which is insane to me.
Yes.
Partnered it up with Sony. Neil likes it. I think it was all right. We'll talk about it. How do we want to do this first? I guess they did a 22-minute gameplay reveal where two players played the game. I watched that 22-minute gameplay reveal. Two players played the game. They talked about some of the action skills, some of the characters that you'll have. They talked about how the combat works. They talked about the movement. And they've talked about some of the changes that they've made to the game. There were some notable improvements, in my opinion. They've redefined the movement. It's a very vertical, slidey Call of Duty type shooter now. When it comes to the movement, there's a grappling hook that lets you, and a lot of sliding and a lot of weird double jumping and stuff. And then you can glide and you can climb up walls, which is really cool. And then they also did kind of this weird, you find vault pieces to go into vaults. So they kind of alluded to that. It almost made me feel like the vaults are now procedurally generated in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was trying to think of, and then they did parts with guns, which I did think was kind of interesting. The guns will have different parts instead of just this random drop. They said that legendaries will spawn way less, so the grind will have more of a reason. Am I missing anything?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I know the legendaries and everything like that. That was one thing that I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, because from what I remember of Borderlands 3, those legendary drops, I mean, you were really only looking for you would almost guaranteed to get that legendary drop. You were just hoping that it would generate with better stats than the one that you currently had, or better effects than the one that you currently had. I love the idea of the parts for the gun. The guns. They really didn't go super in depth on if they're necessarily interchangeable or
crafting.
if they generate. Yeah. I would love if you would be able to if you have a drop of something, you could destroy that weapon to take a specific part and then be able to swap it out on something else. I don't know as if they're necessarily going to do that. Personally, I was talking to a guy at work the other day actually about this, and I was like, give me a Jacob's weapon with Tediore weirdness with it, and I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Because it does seem like those interchangeable parts are going to take the features of those other ones. I believe there's 2 new companies too this time around. They didn't really get super in depth with those. No. To kind of go to the point that you were talking about earlier with Butt Destiny, it's definitely Borderlands Butt Destiny this time around. It really seems like they're gearing towards that with your repeatedly running dungeons, like the vaults you were talking about, those vault pieces. You get the vault pieces, it's going to open a vault, and it seemed like it was a procedurally generated sort of thing, to where at the end there was going to be some sort of end boss that you would run over and over again to try to get, whatever weapon or item it is that you want to get. The little cruiser glider things that they showed too that everybody has, that's where I was like, yep, that's Destiny now. They've they've kind of foregone the allusions to it and said we're just gonna do it. That also said, I mean, I feel like, while for what I'm looking for out of a game that would be considered live service, I feel like this is one of those, even though Borderlands 3, they were like, it's not a live service game, but it was a live service game. this is going to be kind of maybe leaning more towards in the live servicey aspect of it. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's Borderlands. They did say that they're going more back to basics. That was, I don't know about yourself, but like, I don't
didn't
know
feel that at all.
Yeah, back to basics. Like I mean, granted, I never played the first one, but I definitely played the second one, and Borderlands is pretty Borderlands across the board. I don't know what it was
and the
that they were
first one-
referring to with that.
Yeah, the first one didn't have any movement abilities. The skill trees were really like simplified. Like it was, I don't know, like going back to basics. I didn't really get that feel. I felt like this was even more complicated than 3.
Yeah.
Honestly. So here's my thing. On the Destiny thing, I think we need to wait to see if there's a social hub. Like, when you go back to base, is there a bunch of other people running around? Because then it's Destiny as Destiny. You know?
Yeah.
Like, because that's kind of the hallmark of the Destiny. Is the Sanctuary one just got all your people, or is it just the 4 people that you go in with? Because then it separates it a little bit. Though, let's face it, they're both looter shooters. Like, they
Right.
do a couple of things differently, but at the end of the day, they're both looter shooters. You're supposed to grind out a dungeon, get better gear score. And that's
Make
it. That's
number
what you
go
do.
up.
Make number go up. Okay, so here's my thing. We're 4 into this series, right? Like, here's my
Numbered
grumpy,
entries.
my grumpy butts, right? Yeah, okay. So let's count the other ones. We've got 4 major ones.
Pre-sequel, yeah, pre-sequel and Tiny Tina's.
And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there another in between one?
I don't think so. I mean, there was. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure the other ones were just the Telltales, which I wouldn't count.
I wouldn't count them either. But so we've got 6 of these games. Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. They're the same. Like,
Yeah.
they're the same with another, like, turkey leg added. Like, it's not... Sorry, guys. My cough is killing me today. It's not like they're reinventing the wheel. They're not doing anything different. Honestly, if they had showed me a social hub and geared it more towards games as service, while that's not something I necessarily would prefer, it would at least show me that you're moving in a different direction and doing something different. So, like, all this says to me is that here's this game. Like, they even said, like, this is a perfect jumping off point. And then they went ahead and pointed out that the entire storyline revolves around characters that you've already met in the first 3 games.
Right.
And the entire ending of 3 is how 4 happens. So, like, how is it a jumping off point? I think that, like to me, this is just, they just did another Borderlands and they added a couple more things, which, I mean, every game kind of has. You know, Wonderlands added the character creation aspect. You had, like, the weird jumping 0G stuff from pre-sequel. Mm-hmm. You know, 2 added some like a bigger, like, expanded on action set. 3 added kind of like, oh, sorry. Well, you had melee weapons in that, didn't you? Or did you not have them?
In Tiny Tina's, yeah.
In Tiny Tina's, you had melee weapons. So,
Yeah.
like, they just keep adding a couple of chunks, but they don't really do anything new or different with the game. And that's really... What bothers me about this is what I see is what I've seen for the last 3 Borderlands games, which is me buy, me like, my build becomes irrelevant, me no like anymore, you know? Mm-hmm. The other thing that I'll say, we've been talking a lot about game worth lately, and, like, the game's going up, game prices going up, and again, I don't see an $80 game here. I don't see anything about this that leads to me to be anything more than just another sequel to another game. I mean, hell, they're not even going to multiple planets on this one. It's one planet. It looks smaller to me. Mm-hmm. So, like, my thing is like, what have you really showed me to get excited? Okay, the movement is fine, but I didn't care. I don't need the movement. The movement in Borderlands has never really mattered because Borderlands is all about your build. It's what it's about, right? Like, it's almost like Diablo with shooters, you know?
Right.
Like it's not like really about the movement. So you showing me new movement doesn't really make me interested. With the exception of the climbing, I think that's cool, and the gliding I think is also cool. But, like, that doesn't really get me excited. Then you show me the part system on the guns. Fine. But that's just another way to get to the same weird stats you get to before, which is just stats.
Min-maxing, I mean, it's
just
effectively
min-maxing
min-maxing at that
I
point.
will say I really enjoyed the focus. The one thing that I really was like, that's cool, is the focus on one type of weapons, which they've never really done before. I mean, they've had some things like, oh, this is a Malawan build or this is a Theodore build, but overall it's about the action skills. But in this, it'll be like, oh, you want guns with Jacob parts, you refine your Jacob parts things. That's how you get these like class mods that mess with the specific brand. I thought that was really cool. Because it might make me think, oh, I'm going to take this Jacob's gun that's slightly less good than this Torg gun, even though numbers would go up, but because of my build, you know?
Right.
I thought that was really interesting. Still haven't seen how they, like, do it, though. You know, that's the other thing. Like, this was a very, like, very small amount of vertical slice that we saw here. And I'm sure that the game's almost done because it's coming out later this year. But, like, I don't know. There wasn't anything here that, like, A, said $80 game, and B, said, made me want to buy it. I've done this game 5 times, is what I'm saying. I've played an iteration of this game 5 times. Why do I need a 6th one?
And that's the thing with me is I liked that game. I'll take the one that has the 4 on the end.
Okay, that's fair.
Now, but at the same time, like you've said, I mean, at this point too, especially when you take into consideration, like, almost guaranteed, like, it's going to be both myself and Kayla are going to be playing this game. Okay, great. Now that means I have to buy 2 copies of this game. 2 copies of this game at $80 a piece. That is $160 before tax for a game. Wow. So, you know, granted, then we're kind of starting to get into the meta narrative, you know, of everything surrounding games. But basically, yes, to your point, I mean, what am I getting from this for $80 that I don't get from Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Borderlands 3, Borderlands 2, Borderlands pre-sequel, you know, all these other games? It is more of the same thing with, you know, the usual sequel zhuzhage to it. But with a much heftier price tag on it. And I would love to see, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I saw enough to get me intrigued with it, but I hope there's more than just for them to show the other 2 classes and what the other 2 classes do, because they only showed 2 of the classes in this and their abilities with everything. Is there something else that really sets it apart? That's the thing that I don't really know. Hello?
I muted it to cough and then forgot to unmute it. I'm back.
I was like, oh no, I must have missed have missed the pause.
I tried to interrupt you like 3 times, so now I know why it didn't work.
That'll do it.
One thing, it's good. It's good. I shouldn't interrupt you as much as I. The one thing that I'll say, you know, we've talked a lot about this show too, about franchise fatigue. When do the people stop caring? We're 6 in now. This is going to be the 6th mainstream iteration. When do we stop caring about this game, these characters? Like, when are we ready to be done and move on? I think it would have been way more interesting to see Gearbox do something different with this team than a Borderlands. Maybe even in the looter shooter genre, but really, like, open it up and let them kind of, like, go crazy with it, which they didn't do. Instead, we ended up with another Borderlands. And okay, so what are you going to bring to the Borderlands series? And Borderlands has some ravenous fan base. Like, they have, like, truly religious fan base. There are YouTube channels that, like, just make buco bucks just on Borderlands videos. Of 2 and 1 they get views on. So, like, Borderlands is a beast. I'm not saying it's not. In its own right, it has its ravenous fan base. That being said, $80, the casual fan base is what you got to get. The ravenous people are going to buy it anyway. So, like, I don't know, that's really expensive for the 6th iteration of this game, you know?
I think for me to really say, you know what, I think I'm fine with this, I think I would have to see like a pure open world,
Yeah.
not like in like How 3 where there are large chunks of the map, but you come up against an invisible wall to progress to this other section of the map. I think I want to see like the whole go anywhere, climb anywhere, do anything sort of map.
Yeah.
To where there's basically like no loading screens outside of like, like if you go into a vault or something like that.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting. They have hinted at a full open world map. They've
Yes.
also hinted at like just stuff that pops up. I thought one thing they hinted at was weather patterns. We
Yeah.
don't know what those are going to be, but like dynamic weather patterns. That could
How
make
it's going to
things interesting.
change anything.
Right. I think that's very interesting. It's very interesting. I think if you have a more interactive environment, that does make things a little bit different. But again, is it enough for me to go $80 for this game? And I don't think it is. I don't. In fairness, I don't think anything is. Last game I bought was Badlands Crew, and I bought it for $16. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I would have paid 40 for it. And it's just some indie fucking game about driving around, like building a war rig and driving around the Badlands, and it's amazing. Like the stuff that's really interesting me has ceased to be the AAA stuff. Like their quality has gotten so low and it hides behind the graphics or the IP so much that like it makes me nervous anytime I see any of these things. Like especially since Borderlands has a track record for me of like if you're a long-term player, when you get a Borderlands game, you play it for a certain amount of time, then they nerf your shit into the ground, or you find out that your shit doesn't matter because there's one build that's meta, and if you don't have it, you're fucked. And then when everybody starts doing that build, they nerf that into the ground, and it's just they nerf the fun out of it real quick for me. I told you I didn't even finish Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. They did it so fast to me. My build one day I got on and I was fine, and then my build the next day was useless. I could do nothing. I was just getting killed in the normal standard mode. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So like, it's one of those things. Like, am I willing to subscribe to that again? Because that's what I feel like we're getting more of. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're hopeful, sir.
I am. I very much am. I am hopeful. It's supposed to be at the Summer Fuck Fest, so
Yes. Yeah,
we'll
it'll
get
be
some
at
more
Summer
info
Fest.
at that point.
I mean, it doesn't have to compete with GTA 6 anymore. So
Yeah, and you know what? Unless you had anything else to say, I think that's a perfect segue.
it is a perfect segue. Do you want to go to the news?
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break, then we'll come back and talk about, well, you know what now? You know what? Fuck it. Let's not even go to a break. Let's just do it.
No, we don't have to. No,
All
we're
right,
here.
let's do it.
We're here.
News.
Well, I mean,
this is the
yeah.
third segment where Neil collects news stories and tells us about it. We're doing it live.
Doing it live. Yeah. So, as we kind of already talked about here a minute ago, GTA 6 got delayed by technically a little bit over a year. I think they said it was like May 17th or something like that, 2026. This was, I feel like, almost inevitable. I feel like this was almost inevitable.
Who got points on it, by the way?
Happen. You know what? I forgot to look.
So this
gonna
was
take
one
a
of the
look
ones that I had as an alternate. So I don't know if it was me because I didn't mark the one that I actually got of my alternates. So it might have been me. I don't know.
It was you.
Yes.
Clean point. GTA 6 gets
Nice.
delayed out of 2025.
Boom,
Clean
baby.
point.
It was listed as one of my alternates on my list, and I didn't like figure out which one I should do. But yeah, so I didn't know if that was the one that I actually did or not.
Yeah.
So yay, point to me.
Yeah, clean point on that one. And truthfully, it was inevitable. Now, here's what I find interesting about that. First off, Take-Two's stock just dove as a result, because you got to figure they were basically banking on this for like the year. But I saw a ridiculous amount of articles like about various things like, oh, the Game of the Year race just got a whole lot more competitive, and gaming as a whole is going to suffer this year now because Grand Theft Auto was going to be such a console driver for sales. They're concerned that the PlayStation 5 Pro was basically teed up to be the thing that was going to sell that console, or the GTA 6 was going to be the thing that was going to sell that console. A game should not have that much
No.
weight behind it.
No.
This is a part of the problem with everything associated with the industry right now, because that obviously, you kind of figure Take-Two, they were going to take the hit for the year because it's not coming the rest of this year now. That company's financials gone for what they were projecting that this year was going to look like when you take a look at like the business side of things. But the fact that gaming as a whole is freaking out that GTA 6 got delayed, I don't know. It just seems a little ridiculous to me.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And like, that's something that truly bothers me. We're really we're up to our knees in in original Cyberpunk 2077 launch territory at this point. We got a year out delay. A year out delay. Everybody's going fucking crazy because that was the game. And like, I just want to point this out, man. If that game needed to be delayed a year, it was nowhere near ready. Like, if they had released it, it would have been a fucking train wreck. And honestly, I am not 100% convinced it's going to come out next year. Like,
I would hope it's going to come out next year.
I'm not convinced. If it does, I think it's going to be late. I don't think it hits that May 26th date that they've put onto it. I think that, like, yeah, and it's ridiculous that this is what I'm talking about. Like, all of these game companies have gotten to this point where they're all playing Russian roulette with the entire company. We're in a year where there's just nothing but layoffs, and you're telling me your entire nut was based on one game coming out in this year. Like, when are we going to start taking a look at what we're doing wrong in the gaming space as far as companies go? Because this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
And honestly, just because you kind of brought it up a little bit, I'll just kind of segue into the next one, that I have here. We have Take-Two, who is basically has like the game right next to Call of Duty. And then EA just laid off like 400 employees and canceled 2 games from Respawn. One of them that was apparently supposed to be another Titanfall game. So, I mean, we're just hemorrhaging still doing layoffs, substantial layoffs.
Yep.
Because everything has to make $1 bazillion plus infinity, or else it's deemed a failure. Everybody's getting too big for their britches, and I will be honest, I almost wonder, I really do wonder if we're going to get some sort of announcement that Rockstar is going to maybe make some layoffs or something here too, because that was their thing. Like, this game was going to come out this year. They're not going to make the money anymore. Okay, fine. I mean, are they expecting that game to make that much money, or to kind of circle back to, I mean, we're guaranteeing this game is going to cost $80, and I almost wonder now, this 100% opens the door to the $100 game being a thing. Yeah. They'll give it a year, and next year they're waiting for my tinfoil hat.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Tinfoil hat is they're going to let people get used to the $80 game for a year. I don't think this is the reason that they delayed the game, but I think they'll be like, hey, so the $80 thing will have died down at this point. Everybody got used to it. Everybody's kind of expecting our game to be $100 anyway. So we can just, come, hat in hand, solemn JPEG. We unfortunately, due to circumstances, blah, 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 have to charge $100 for this game. We really and, watch money happen.
I 100% agree with you. I am under that tinfoil hat with you. I don't think it's the number one reason, but I definitely think that there was always going to be a delay after the Nintendo thing, because Nintendo came out and they're like $80 games across the board, and their games don't even deserve to be $80. Their games don't even remotely deserve to be $80. When you talk about like specs comparatively to what they had last year and what they have to run on, they don't deserve to be that much. And then like the Take-Two guys were like, well, now they're up to 80. Let's see if they're successful. And if they are, we'll push it up next year. I think they were always going to get delayed. Always. It's just how big of a delay is dependent on how far they were behind on work. I will say I don't think they were expecting their stock to plummet as much as it did. And
No.
that's how these companies make money. That's how they pay off their people. So like I think that one thing that will be really interesting to see is if they lay off a bunch of people, and if they do, how they get that game out. Because that's the people making the game. Like if you lay off people, they're still making the game. I mean, no matter what, though, I think we can all be guaranteed that whenever GTA 6 does come out, they're going to lay off like half the workforce that worked on it. Immediately,
100%.
just to make their nut back. Which is fucking ridiculous that we are in this position gaming-wise. It's just stupid. It's absolutely stupid. All right, so that's the news.
So I actually got
one
one
more?
goofy
All right,
one.
hit me.
I got one stupid, silly
Yay.
one. And this was like threw me all the way off. So I'm sure whether or not folks are familiar with it, they have at least heard of. I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation on this. The Louvre, the art museum in France.
The Louvre.
Yeah, the Louvre. Yeah. So apparently, they've been using rented out 3DS consoles for audio tours
What?
around the galleries,
What?
around the museum. Apparently, it's coming to an end here soon. They've been doing this since 2012, apparently. And they're discontinuing it because the 3DS's shop is finally shut down. Not by any other reason other than that. Not, using some sort of modern technology or, I don't know, a QR code to download an app on a smartphone like a normal person. But they will be discontinuing the rental of 3DS consoles to use for audio tours for the museum, and will be replacing them with, quote, another device, whatever that means.
That is ridiculous.
That is so
absolutely
weird.
ridiculous. That's hilarious, though. Hilarious. That's
Gaming in
that's
places you don't
funny
expect.
one. I was about to say, that's a good one to end on. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with the plugs.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. 601 subscribers. Thanks again to everybody out there who decided to click the subscribe. But Neil, would you like to plug anything?
I guess a reverse plug, because we did not do what we thought we were going to do and finish Ordo and Uno Reverse. Actually, it's going to be a couple more weeks before we're able to finish that.
One of our players had to go out of town, and then another player got sick, and we couldn't get it done before they went out of town, so we must wait for them to return.
Yeah, it'll happen at some point. Yeah.
But yeah, it'll definitely happen. We're getting there. As far as me, I thank you all for checking out the channel when we have such low content. I've said before, sometime this week I should have Towerborn and Badlands Crew reviews coming. Obviously, OMGM is still going, and then there is this show. I'd like to get a Wizard's Respite out there at some point soon, but it's just been really stressful. I'm trying to finish up my training at work. Once that's done, hopefully I can get back on track with that stuff. So, otherwise, you guys can reach us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on X at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. As long as you guys keep watching, keep listening, we'll keep making them. See you guys next time. Pause. That's going to be theme of the night.
Doing
cough.
fan.
What? Neil?
Oh, you shouted pause.
Oh. No.
I was just like, oh, well,
No, that's
he's going to
good.
go deal with it already.
No, I said pause for the show, but then I was like, that's going to be the theme of the night, me pausing to cough. Like going right to a cough when I pause,
Oh, yeah.
But I appreciate your immediate reaction to the plan and your fast thinking on that. I am telling you, I am so fucking tired. She started vomiting at 11:30 last night, and once every hour was the
Oh
puke. And it was
God.
just like, Dad's got to take care of it. I love my wife. She is a very capable, wonderful mother, and I know she could do it without me. But puke makes her puke, period. And
I am
like,
the same.
it's like she can't handle that. So I got to be the one that steps in there. That's the beauty of marriage. You handles each other's failures. I'm bad with money. Mine's way worse. So like, so like, so yeah, so I got to handle it. So it's just every hour, just wake up, clean up puke, clean up puke, clean up puke, and then all day clean up puke, clean up puke, clean up puke. It has been something else.
So what's kind of funny right now is Kayla actually is our pseudo guest.
Really,
She's actually playing Mass Effect right now on her computer, and she's
Nice.
not been down here while I do recording. So
Yeah.
she has just now come across the one thing that I do constantly. I have that spinner, like the die spinner thing. I don't know if I ever showed you this.
You've showed it to
Basic,
me before, yeah.
yes. So what I will do sometimes is a fidget. I'll have it laying down, and then I'll rest my nail against the ridges. It'll make
This
like a sound.
this is why you and I are perfect co-hosts. Do you know what I do the entire time we're podcasting? I have a fidget cube that I literally click and play with under the camera. I'm putting it in the camera right now. It's a little fidget cube. I got it for like 50 cents on Temu. And I just fucking click on it. Yeah, so I'm with you. We're perfect co-hosts. We're match made in
Yeah.
heaven. Match made in heaven.